All right, welcome to episode 304
Fellow
of the
auto
Auto Detailer
detailers,
Podcast.
welcome to
and
the show
back
that
for
features
the
interviews
11th
with today's
time.
most successful
And that is
auto
no-
detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast.
I did
Here's
not.
your host,
I checked
Jimbo
right before
Balaam.
we got on, and I withheld it till we started recording. Back for the 11th time, the most of all time, Mr. Kevin Davis. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks. That's crazy. I can't believe it's 11. Either A, you forget to book guests a lot, or I don't know what B would be. You just like...
Let's go with B, because
Okay.
A seems a little backhanded. Kevin, I reach out to you when I haven't reached out to any other guest and I don't want to talk by myself. Then I call you and I'm like,
That's
hey.
okay. I don't mind being your backup. That's okay. It's always fun.
Story of your life, right?
That's
the number
right.
2.
Sure. Yeah, I'm the athletic supporter of the detailing world. That's what I'll call myself now.
I hear you. So catch us up to speed on kind of what you've been doing, and then we're going to talk about an interesting topic. But why don't you just catch us up to speed with what you've got going on?
So I can't believe it's 2000 October, whatever it is, the 4th of 2017. We have been home an average of 8 days at a time since January.
Oh my gosh.
And we spent about 5 months away from our house. So our longest stretch was about 20 days to be home. So it's been crazy. Mostly stuff like we call this. I've been joking with her, calling this a year of Michelle, which is my wife. She's had some awesome opportunities this year, and so we've been sort of pursuing those. And we'll talk about the consequences of doing that in this. But yeah, it's been an awesome time. We've been trying to manage another new project, and then obviously all the helper brand stuff gets to be a challenge also. So been trying to keep up.
And everything for her has been based around the racing car.
Sure.
Or the off-roading
Yeah,
car?
so Sugar High Motorsports,
There you go.
which is last year was just Team Sugar High, was sort of this lower end thing, but me being me, we basically created an entire brand called Sugar High Motorsports, and we did about 8 different events this year.
Okay.
That's around one of the things that started was the Rebel Rally, which is this big, you froze. Was this big off-road rally. There you go. We're back. Was this big off-road rally that she's doing, which actually we leave for on Monday. It's 1,200 miles through the desert. And then she was given an opportunity from Bogey, who is on a show called All Girls Garage on Velocity, to SEMA truck. It's a 57 Chevy with a BMW engine in it, so it's going to be pretty cool.
Holy crap. And is that generating revenue, or is that more of a hobby?
No, it's kind of a hobby. It's mostly a hobby. We use it, we did some sponsorship stuff on the build, so there's some marketing components to that. And also it adds to our awareness sort of in the market. One of the things we use Sugar High Motorsports for is sort of, for us, it's more to reach people with a positive message about marriage and family and that kind of thing. So that's been really fun to see how that's progressing. But we do have sponsors. We still, we're kind of in almost break-even mode with our sponsorships because all this crap is super expensive. But no, it's not really it's not a business that we're generating revenue out of directly.
Got it. So then, from our other previous 10 episodes, we've discussed kind of the other streams of income that you have, or that one should have, and that's kind of become a big time focus for me, is like multiple streams of income that can allow you to do stuff like you're talking about, or as I told you before we started recording, my wife is actually working right now as I record this podcast episode, and so, it's allowed, multiple streams of income have allowed me a little bit more flexibility in my days as well. But what what has been going on with the helper brands? Have those been neglected because of this Sugar High Motorsports thing, or what's been going on with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, we've talked about that multitasking is a facade.
Right.
So you can only put so much energy into a given thing. It's been really challenging with all the travel, which I could sort of equate our travel with, someone who's working, all day long out in their shop or whatever, just inability to be able to manage your time, not really manage the time, but just there's only so many hours in a day. So with the helper brands, we also had, I think we talked about in the last podcast, we had a little bit of a setback with some staffing things. And so that really derailed a lot for us. And so especially with the Cleaners Helper brand. And so we're gradually trying to rebuild that. And our consumer brands we're working on, and then Detailers Helper is still pretty strong, but whenever I'm not in front and really pursuing that, obviously it takes a little bit of a backseat and revenue drops. So that's sort of where we're at with all that. We've got some plans to move forward. Essentially, we're waiting to be home, which will be after SEMA for the most part, and then we can engage a lot more and begin to start working on that stuff some more.
And isn't that the truth? And I think that's relevant for whether you have a product company like you do, or you have a Sorry, dog. I'm going to keep talking. If you can hear me, I'm going to keep talking.
I can hear you.
All right, cool. So, whether you have a product brand business or a physical brand or product or just a detailing business, if you're not constantly staying on top of it and really relentless with it, it can sag, and that can really, affect everything. Is that what would you say, like, since the beginning of the year, the whole focus has been Sugar High and not really the helper brands?
Can you hear me?
I couldn't. Nope. Yeah, sorry. I can hear you, but did
I got the focus has been. Sorry.
No, so the focus has been more so on Sugar High, right? So as the focus has been more on Sugar High, what has that done? I kind of want to go into what we talked about yesterday of, like, what happens when you neglect your company for a year, Well,
it's interesting because even though, a lot of our marketing with the helper brands, just in general, especially Detailers Helper, we can just talk about Detailers Helper in specifics, but
okay,
is around social media, just for this example. So we do a lot with social media, and that requires, pretty much daily type updates. And what's happened in my case is that we spent so much time on the Sugar High Motorsports side of social media that Detailers Helper and the helper brands in general just suffered because I wasn't able to keep up on that side of things. It becomes a bit cyclical because if you're not out in front in social media doing everything you need to do on social media, then you get less attention, less sharing, less people interested in the product, and that sort of thing. I mean, we've been really blessed because there's so many detailers now that are using the belts and do a lot of our social media stuff for us, not paid, but they share and they have pictures with Detailers Helpers on and that kind of thing. So that helps, but still, it's just, I mean, I can see a definitive drop off after probably early spring. Things really started to drop off, and that's just a matter of being too busy to keep up with it.
So what advice would you give to someone who, because you equated travel time with someone spending all day in their shop working on a car, and a lot of these guys do, right? They're polishing away day in, day out, and so it's hard to always keep the you're working on the here and now business, right? But you want business for next week, and so in order to have business next week, you need to do stuff this week, right? But if you're working on something this week, it's hard to still keep the pipeline full of work for next week. So what kind of would you suggest guys do, or do you being on this end of it now, for you, are there things that you would implement or do that could almost make it seem like you didn't go away?
Yeah, I mean, I was able to sort of manage my time with this advice fairly effectively, but it's just a matter of being spread too thin over too many different projects. But if we're assuming that the average detailer has one business to run, then it's probably a little bit more effective for him. And it's basically what I would do if I were detailing full time now is I would actually schedule in as if it were a car a certain amount of time per day to work on marketing, sales, learning more about Facebook ads and Google ads and all that kind of stuff. I would use that time. And because if you don't schedule it, what are you going to do? You're going to fill it up with other stuff. And so that's pretty important to get that time scheduled out on your calendar.
I love that. I think that's a really, really good tip. I've actually started to do that too, of like, okay, I'm not going to schedule anything until 10 a.m. because from 8 to 10, because now my kids are starting to go to school. School started back up. And so I've had to schedule stuff that isn't necessarily work related, but in order to push back work and stuff like that. There's a tool, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Kevin, called Buffer, Buffer. And it is they have a free version and then they have a paid version, but it's the paid version is only $10 a month, but you can schedule out social media posts as many as you want in a day. For as far out as you want. And I was using that for a little bit just to keep, like you said, keep the engagement coming, right. Sparking interest in doing that. And so that, I mean, for you and everyone else listening, that may be a cool tool to, if you, of course, you're traveling, but so you're driving. So it's not like you're flying places where you have 4 or 5 hours of downtime to just do whatever, or else you wouldn't need a service like Buffer. But it's really helped me. I can sit down for an hour and schedule out, a month and a half, 2 months worth of daily post. Now I've lagged on that myself, because the flip side to that is you're scheduled out a month and a half out a post, and then that month and a half comes really quick.
Yeah. For sure. And that's a good tool. That sounds like a good tool because you're creating the content. What all these guys try to sell you on is these managed social media managers. And I've looked at that before. I actually gave it a free trial stuff, and the problem is it has this very generic voice to it.
Right.
And so it doesn't, you're not going to attract the right customers with that. So using something like Buffer, and you can end up just pushing out your stuff on your own. Basically, you're creating content and then push it out. That sounds like a great tool. And
that's basically what I was doing is repurposing older content too, because you can create a queue or basically a ginormous bowl of your content, and then you can reuse it, repurpose it, and repost it, and all I was looking for is like conversation starters, you know what I mean? So whether that be reposting an episode or asking a question as a status or something like that, that's what I was using.
Mainly Facebook, or does it do Instagram?
Okay, so it will do Facebook, it'll do Twitter, it will do Instagram, but it won't actually post for you on Instagram, but it'll queue up all the posts, and then you actually have to go for some reason. The Instagram backend code has always been problematic for all those.
Yeah, Hootsuite and pretty much everybody else. I'm not sure why that is, but
yeah, and it's basically a Buffer is another version of something like Hootsuite, and there's analytics, so you can see what posts have done better, and maybe repost those ones, but it'll show you the engagement, which is kind of cool. And once you have like this whole queue of content, it makes it a little bit easier to schedule out as far in advance as possible. That was, I don't know, just a random kind of tool that I was using.
I was going to ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
Are you using Instagram as a business?
No, the short answer is yes, no.
Well, I know you're like me. You have multiple accounts. So.
I do, and I really only use my personal account. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm not in love with using Instagram or posting on Instagram. So I'm like, I try to do it, but I'm more of like a ghost follower to a lot of things. And so I yeah.
So you don't think it's an effective tool for local detailers? I'm just curious.
Not. No, I would say it is and can be, definitely. I just suck at it. So I actually think it's one of the better social media platforms as far as like reach and engagement and effectiveness. I'm just not good at it, and it doesn't come natural to me.
I think you're just like most detailers. That's sort of a loaded question. I think actually Instagram is an awesome tool for detailers because it's such a visual art,
right?
And visual business. But I think where all of the detailers are failing that I've seen and I follow on Instagram, all you see is Ferraris and Porsches, and we've talked about it before. You post that one car that you did in 1997 over and over again, versus targeted posts that fits their market. So before and afters of mom vans or Suburbans or whatever your market happens to be. But my assumption there is that of all the people I follow, there's no way every single one of them does Porsches every day.
Right.
It's just not possible. So
and I think some of the product brand companies are doing a very, very good job with Instagram, and I feel like Instagram can be highly effective. Where I feel like it would be super effective for detailers is like targeting like a hyper. I'm a big fan of especially for detailers is targeting like really hyper local areas. Right. So really just, and then working your way out. Right. So even if we go into SEO or anything like that, like really nailing down, hyper local areas, longer tail keywords, not really worried about, for me, not really worried about like, mobile auto detailers in Orange County, but like mobile auto detailers in Seal Beach. Right. And that's where I get a lot of my business, and because it's easier to rank like that, right? And it's less daunting to target your hyper local area, right? So that's where I think it could be effective. And again, I'm more so worried currently about growing my personal brand and the podcast brand versus like my detailing business.
Right.
So that's where some of this that's probably why I don't really hyper focus on my detailing Instagram page. But I do have some ideas of what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, one thing when you're talking about local that you could do as a detailer is actually Instagram from within your local area, and then make sure you're tagging those businesses. Like, I don't know, if you go to Starbucks every day and get your latte, make sure you tag. And
so I got a great story about this.
That, right.
I got a great.
That's gonna come up in the feed of all your local people, because it's the same people that the algorithm will tie in your post with whoever's Starbucks post from yesterday, and then they'll see that in the suggested followings.
Yeah, and you got to think Instagram. You have to have good imagery, right? You have to have something that's going to captivate the eye of the people looking, and that's why I feel like I suck at it, because I'm not good at that, right? I don't capture the good angle. I don't capture the good lighting. I don't take the time to have 15 different apps to, create a really compelling post. But what I will tell you is this is an interesting story. So the Newport Beach Country Club, I did a couple cars for the head chef and some people in the kitchen that they worked at the Newport Beach Country Club. And this is kind of a Instagram hack that I've been really thinking about. And I didn't do the cars at the country club. I actually did the cars in an adjacent parking lot to the country club, right? But what I did was I used the geotagging, and I set my location for the country club, right? Because kind of to the point that you were just talking about, I started targeting areas that I wanted to work, and even if you weren't in that area at the time of your posting, you could still geotag that location, right? And Instagram's gotten a lot better at that. So what I did was I posted a few pictures of the cars that I did at or for the employees of the country club, even though I didn't do them on the country club property. And then I tagged that I was at the country club. Well, I would get like random likes and stuff like that, because if you have good imagery and then you pop up in the top like 12 pictures, right? A lot of people are going to see those. So that could be a marketing strategy for Instagram. But what ended up happening was about 6 months after I had it posted, I actually got a message from the country club asking for me to remove the pictures.
Really?
Yes. Even though they weren't done on country club property.
Oh, for privacy reasons.
You know,
was that their thing?
Let me see if I can go back in my Instagram DMs and see what their reasoning was. But they did mention, from what I remember, it was like, hey, oh, here it is right here. Okay. It says, hello, Jimbo. Thank you for your amazing work at Newport Country Club. I noticed, which it wasn't at the country club. I didn't do it at the country club. I noticed that you posted a picture of a Porsche and a Mercedes-Benz at our club. It wasn't at their club, but if you could please remove the post, for it includes the license plate to one of our members. Not true. It's not true either, though.
Oh, because you blocked them out, or you didn't.
Well, they're not members. They were employees, not members.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a privacy matter, I do ask that the post be removed immediately. Thanks in advance.
So had you blocked out the license plate, do you think it would have been an issue, or they would have tried to find some other way to take it down?
I don't know. Maybe just looking at it back now, maybe it was just the license plate issue. But I mean, here's the thing, right? It got their attention, right? So if it got their attention, it probably got other people's attention. And
absolutely.
And that's kind of what I was getting at, of like, geotag places that you want to work and areas that you want to work, and maybe use the sexy cars to nail the imagery, and then geotag places that, higher end areas than maybe you actually even did that car in. I didn't do the car at the country club. I did it next to it, but tagged the country club because I figured people have money that go to the country club that can be a member at the country club.
There's all sorts of Instagram hacks and strategies and all that kind of stuff, but it's, basically with all social media, if you're a local business like a detail shop or a mobile detailer, you need to be highlighting your local area as much as possible, because all that, the algorithm is going to continue to push your post to people that like the city of Seal Beach or, Newport Beach
100%
Country Club or whatever. If those people like it and you share it on Facebook from your Instagram, which you should do,
right?
Tie those two things in, then it's going to show that content to those same people. That targeting is really important.
100%. So to go back to our original thing, I don't know about Hootsuite, but I know with Buffer you can queue everything up for Instagram, but you can't actually physically schedule the post. I don't know why, but maybe it has something to do with the back end.
Yeah, it is. It's been that way since I tried Hootsuite like 2 years ago, and it's been that way ever since. So I mean, there's just no way to do it. I don't know why. Yeah. Facebook owns Instagram, so fix it.
Fix it.
It's just
it's very simple. Just fix it.
Yeah, just fix it. It's the guy from Saturday Night Live, my favorite character. He's the fix. He just says, "Here's what you do: you identify the problem and you fix the problem."
Right.
That's
very simple. Are there any other things that you learned over the past 10 months that you would do differently for Detailer Helper?
Well, continuing product development and concentrating on that. And then one of the things that's been on my list is this ambassador program, which I'm hoping to do
Let's hear about it
soon. So the ambassador program is basically just a thing where people, and it's pretty common in product stuff. So people use your products, the ones that love the products, then basically apply to be a Detailer's Helper ambassador. And I'm still putting together all the details on this, but they would be the people that then get to do stuff like prototype test and and some of that kind of stuff. And also they may get discounts and that kind of thing. But what it is it's those people that help promote Detailers Helper or want to help promote Detailers Helper through natural organic means, whether it's just, hey, if you're going to take a picture of you working on a car, it'd be cool if you had your Detailers Helper on logo or not, that kind of thing. So we're working on some of that. And as far as like for detailing guys, just make sure you're dedicating that time and budget to be able to put that in and make sure you're growing your business, which I have done, just not at the level that I was able to do before. But we'll get back there.
Have you thought about like having any, and you don't have to answer this at all, but have you thought about having any like detail? I know you do like Air Force One sponsorship and stuff like that, but more so like brand ambassadors that are out there kind of pumping it so you don't have to, or does that require money and time to manage that?
I mean, that'd be sort of the idea behind this ambassador program is to do that. And honestly, I've sent out quite a few different events.
Okay.
The ROI is not great on that, depending on how organized it is. I think that we've done pretty well with those, and I wouldn't hesitate to do it to the right people.
Okay.
But I've been more hesitant to do that. It's sort of like and if you equate that to the detailing world, I don't know if you see this around your area, but you'll see a dealership that if you put a sticker on, Jiffy Lube type places do this a lot. Where you get if you put one of their logos on your car, you get a discount every time you come back.
Okay.
Have you seen that stuff?
Yeah.
And so, that may be if you're doing a quick wash campaign or something like that, where you sign people up for maintenance, maybe they get a certain, every fifth one free if you.
We talk about stuff like this in the Detailer Inner Circle, where when you have the goal with a lot of the stuff we teach with the Detailer Inner Circle, which thanks for the logo, by the way.
Yeah, nice job.
I didn't
my
even.
My cease and desist order should be on its way.
Yeah. Luckily, I'll just forward that over to Pete. I had nothing to do with it. I saw it and I was like, oh man, this is going to be trouble. Anyway,
it must mean. What do they say? Flattery is the best compliment.
Yeah.
But, our patent is almost going through, so hopefully people can figure that part. So.
And now I totally lost my train of thought. But
you were talking about Detailers Inner Circle.
Yes. So a lot of the stuff we talk about, and it's focused around like a continuity program where you're getting customers, to sign up for a monthly service month after month, so that you have money hitting your account before the month even begins to help run a sustainable business. And then part of the plan to get customers to agree to that is to give them services for free. Now we go in way more detail, obviously, in the Inner Circle, but to your point of like, sign up for this and we're going to give you this in return for signing up, or for being an ambassador or doing anything like that. Another idea I just had would be, what if, and people may not be interested in it and it may not work, but almost like mini distributors, where I'm kind of fascinated by the idea of giving detailers a way to earn additional revenue other than detailing, right? So like, what if, like, I don't think any product brand really does it effectively, but maybe I'm just naive to that, but like selling other people's products at car shows and trying to hit, dealerships with demo days and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a great side revenue stream for detailers. Has anything ever crossed your plate like that for the Detailers Helper?
Well, for Detailers Helper, it's a little bit. I mean, we do like affiliate programs and that kind of stuff. The challenge for us is that what you end up with is people that want to buy 5 belts.
Got it.
in my, they want to buy 5 and they want to sign up as a distributor so they can get them for 20% off or whatever it is.
Right.
And so. As a manufacturer, you basically have to have, and my MOQs are fairly low, but you basically have to have minimal order quantities to make it worthwhile. But there are some cool products. I mean, distributorship, and I don't really know what Adam's distributor program looks like now, but I was actually a distributor for him.
Oh, really? Interesting.
A few years ago. I may still be listed because there was like me in Montana. I had a guy, I had my shop in my house, and I had a dude show up on a Saturday morning wanting to buy Adams products at my house. And I'm like, how did you even? And then it dawned on me that my home address was on their website. But
oh my gosh,
they've got a pretty good deal where you buy in.
What did that look like?
Well, they have a different buy-in. Like, I don't know, you buy like $1,000 worth of product and you get 30% off. You buy $2,000 worth of product, you get 35% off. And I don't know whether that's even the structure or what it is now. But I'm sure there are other product lines that have a similar thing. You're not making, 50% on every, you're not doubling your money on every product you sell, but hell,
but 35 ain't bad.
What's that?
35% ain't bad.
Yeah, 35%. Plus you have a value add for your customer.
Yep, exactly.
And most of the time they have what we do, which is minimum advertised pricing.
Right.
So that you're not going to get undercut by different people. And I mean, as well as I do, there are literally hundreds of brands in the detailing world. So pick something that you like and see if you can sell it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I think we hit it. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or should we just move right into how people can follow you if they haven't heard for the 10th time?
This is like the shortest episode ever, 30 minutes.
Well, we can keep going. I mean, you seem disappointed. I got time.
Well, usually we talk for a lot longer, but we can. I don't know. You may need to split this into two when you forget to schedule somebody else next week.
We could definitely keep going. I just don't want to run. I just don't want to have dead air. That's all.
You're good. Yeah.
No. What else do you want to talk about? And we could talk off air too. By the way,
I've had this thing about ROI in my mind.
Let's hear it.
So basically, return on investment. Right. I was going to do this video, and I still may shoot it, or I may just use this. But if I said, hey, give me $1,000 and I will give you 1,100 back, what would you do?
I would take your $1,000,
and
I'd give you $1,000.
Yeah, you would give me $100,000 if you had.
I'd give you $1 million, 100%.
Right. So because it has a positive return on investment. So what always cracked me up about Vegas is they advertise pays 93 cents on the dollar. I'm like, why is that a good deal? I'll stand out front of the casino and do that all day long. Make 7% on every dollar, but that's a negative ROI if you think about gambling. It's entertainment, but you're not going to get that back. So when it comes to everything in your detailing business, you need to be examining your ROI. That's everything from products to advertising to staffing, how you can wrap your efficiency tools around that, like Detailer's Helper or a new polisher or whatever. I mean, even if it's like, if you're buying a $400 or $500 polisher, you need to look at the ROI on that and say, how much time am I going to save on each car with this polisher versus an $80 polisher? And because it's the math is pretty no-brainer, and I honestly think that Detailer's Helper is the same way. I mean, the thing pays for itself in like 3 cars. And there are tons of products out there, but even chemicals are that way.
Right.
You may have a product that the dilution rate is better, so you get more cars out of a given amount. And so even though it's more expensive, your per ounce cost or whatever may be better from one or the other. So I've just been thinking a lot about return on investment because we've been doing some stuff on social media with Facebook ads with another project that's totally not detail related. And so the ROI on that, as we build this, it's website stuff. I won't even go into it, but effectively we were spending like $60 per customer on acquisition costs. And our average order value was somewhere around $120, which sounds good until you figure in all the extra costs. We were upside down for like 2 weeks on the specific ad set. So I ended up dumping the ad set. So you have to really look at your numbers with marketing and pretty much everything else. So that's just a short topic I've been thinking about lately.
No, I love it. And it's so prevalent and it's so not talked about, and I do think we're kind of getting into this next step for detailers that are really trying to transition this passion into, not just a passion, but into a real business, and then almost start thinking about an exit strategy with it too, right? Of like, man, I can build up this business, and this business is an asset that I can one day sell.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the things that you're talking about is as far as building that brand, and something like you said, actually, I thought that sounded pretty good. It's costing you $60 to acquire a customer, and the average order price is $120. But like you said, you have a bunch of other stuff, and I don't know what this is.
Yeah, so you have margin, you have website fees, you have all these different fees, and so that all figures into it.
Right.
And if you carry that into a detailer, you have chemical fees, you have time fees, electricity, water, licensing, all of that kind of stuff. That's what.
And not to keep
you have
pumping
to look at all the math.
Yeah, and not to keep pumping the inner circle, but that's why the more guys we get in the inner circle, the more excited I am about it, because for exactly what you're talking about, Kevin, we have a full sheet breakdown to where we teach guys how to break down to the dollar amount, so you know exactly how much a customer is costing you to acquire, how much profit you can have from that. Everything you're talking about is stuff that we cover. I love it because it's so important, right? Because look, you could have just looked at that and said, okay, it's costing us $60, but we're making $120. Done. Let's do this over and over and over. Right, and then you would have quickly realized that you were losing money.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's funny because I would bet that most detailers are not doing that still. I did a video called "If You Don't Know Your Numbers, You Don't Know Jack," but it talked a lot about that. But it's interesting because we had a post on that Detailing Business 101 group where a guy had posted his mobile setup, which basically was just normal stuff out of his car and all that. And all these guys were posting saying that, oh, that looks like crap and you really need to buy a new van and all this. I'm like, really? Why don't you, this kid is trying to make money and trying to build his business that way. And he's probably looking at the numbers. I mean, you go buy an $80,000 Mercedes van and it's going to take you a while to pay that off. I don't know if you know anybody that has bought said type of van, but
the worst part about that is that I thought that was going to be, and this is where you have to be careful and learn from other people, is that purchase backfired on me, and I ended up getting rid of it because of that reason. Is that I thought it was going to portray this really, great image and professionalism and this and that, and I got nothing but slack for that van. I mean, the comments that I got from either old customers or new customers. It was mainly new customers, not so much older customers, because I had already built a rapport with them. But mainly when I would go out to talk with a new customer, they thought I was going to be way overpriced, because I had this huge black van rolling up. I did better when I had like a crappy, Chevy Express that I was worried about even making it to the appointment in.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to judge you. What's interesting is that what you see as a status symbol or a level of higher professionalism, they see as a, holy crap, how much is he going to charge me to make that payment? Kind
exactly.
of thing. I mean, I'm not going to take my Cobra out and go detail cars out of it, even though I can fit a detail bag in it. But if I roll up in that, people are going to be like, why are you? I mean, how much are you going to charge me?
Yeah,
for this?
like, is that necessary to? That's almost what it came down to. Is like, is that really necessary to have that to detail my car? And that was one thing I didn't even think about, before getting it. I just thought, no, people are going to love this. I'm going to be, and it did get awkward when I would be detailing cars that were like, I'd be doing a 2003 Toyota Camry that's worth, $800, and I'm rolling up in an $80,000 rig. And the people would be like, okay.
Yeah, and again, it has to match everything you do has to match your target market, right? We talked about ideal customer and all that before in other podcasts, but you have to know your customer. I mean, if your main clientele was at the Newport Beach Country Club, maybe that Mercedes fits in and they don't even care.
Right.
But if people are, if your average customer's car is half of what your detailing rig is,
right,
then, and name brands matter. If that was a Ford
right. Exactly,
Transit,
it'd be a whole different.
They probably wouldn't even have cared.
Going on beyond that, I think even if it was a Sprinter, but it was white, I think it would have been different. I think that the Mercedes logo on the front was so big, and then it was, I mean, this sounds racist, but it was so black.
Yeah.
It was so much black paint, and I had blacked out the windows.
Well, they expected like Tyson Gibson or the guy, whoever the guy is from Fast and the Furious to
right.
come out of that thing, right?
Right. So, yeah, and they're like, this guy, and that's what's weird is I detail in an affluent area. I mean, whether I'm in Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, I mean, I stay along the coastland, right? So there's not very many times that I'm in neighborhoods with homes under $800,000-$900,000. Most of the time they're $1 million homes, 1.2, 1.3, 2 million. I'm dealing in really affluent, not super affluent, but affluent areas, so that's why I thought, man, this isn't going to be that bad, but I don't know. There's a difference between old money and new money sometimes, and
right. Well, I mean, effectively you're showing up in a suit to detail cars.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit.
And it didn't fit. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So learn from Jimbo's mistakes.
Don't buy a Sprinter. Don't buy a black Sprinter.
You should drive a 2007 Denali like I do that has 220,000 miles on it and a broken windshield.
Oh man, I'm like this is why I love these conversations and why I've had you on for the 11th time is we always go on tangents that I end up enjoying, but it just amazes me how much success guys can have. And one guy comes to mind, Travis McNutt. He still details out of an Infiniti G37.
Yeah.
And the guy is killing it. He's landing $4,000 coating jobs. He's killing it. And yeah, now he's working out of shops and stuff, but he still travels out of his G37. And so that's when I hear that argument of like, you need a pressure washer to be professional or you need a van to be professional. I'm like, not really. Like, you just got to make it work with whatever you got. Did I lose you, Kevin? There you go. Yeah, I lost you for a sec. Say that.
Oh, I said if you're doing a 2004 Accord, just make sure it's clean. I mean,
right.
Just like a shirt. If you're wearing a T-shirt, wear a T-shirt. But if it's got stains all over it,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, get another one. So it's just make the best of whatever you've got. I think your attitude and your professionalism about what you're using can go a long way when you communicate with customers. But as you found out, you also need to, again, know who your target is and know what their expectation is and what their perception might be.
And sometimes it's trial and error, right? I thought, all these other guys around me are in these real ghetto, dirty vans, and so I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb, and I nailed that. I did, I definitely did stick out like a sore thumb, but it wasn't a good thing.
Right. Yeah. You would have been better with the Infiniti, right? Or with your other van. And
that's why now it's so funny. I transitioned to a truck, because I wanted some distance from the chemicals, and I also wanted something that when I was off duty was a little bit more enjoyable to drive than a 2007 Chevy Express. And so I'm in a truck now, and it's just crazy that it's a brand new truck, right? Not that much less than the Sprinter was. I mean, considerably less, but not all that less. And no one ever said, and I started to worry that like I'm going to be in too plain of a vehicle now, right? So I'm going to the opposite end of the spectrum of now I'm in like too much of an unmarked car. No one gives a crap about my vehicle now. I don't get any comments. Nothing. Not one thing. They're just like, oh, that's your rig? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, cool. Pull it up right over here. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
There you go.
It's just so interesting.
That's cool. Yeah. So ROI, right? That's our thoughts on ROI and vehicles and all that stuff. So
and staying on top of it too, right? Like you got to be on top of all aspects of your business. If I wasn't on top of it in the beginning, I would have never got the Sprinter van. If I wasn't on top of it and in queue with what was going on and what was being said, I would have kept the Sprinter van, and so there's all the hard part is that there's all these moving parts going on at any given time, and you really got to be plugged into them.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, if you think about it, you have a relationship with your business. So like, you and your wife, I know, have date nights and that kind of stuff. So you make efforts to build a relationship with your spouse, with your friends, with whatever. Well, you need to build that same relationship with your business. This may get a little esoteric, but it's you need to build that business and develop that relationship so that you know it inside and out. You know what it needs, you know what it doesn't need, you know what it likes, what it doesn't want, all of that kind of stuff. So that helps a lot.
And if you neglect it, it goes away.
That's right. Yeah, if you neglect it, it kills you in your sleep. Basically, is what will happen.
Well, let's revitalize the detailer helper, huh, Kevin?
Right. That's what we need to do. So, hey, I've got some cool stuff coming out. You want to hear about it?
I do. So look at all this. Look at all this content you had just pent up inside of you.
I know it's been well. I mean, yeah. To sit down and shoot videos has become very difficult, primarily because we shot 2 full seasons of this Jeep build. And so that is a lot of editing. And so anyway, so we've been, I've got a couple of prototypes sitting on my desk that we're having fun with. We're prototyping a new apron, which will be not your average apron.
Turn on your camera and let me see this.
Let's see.
So I could screenshot it.
Internet connection works. So this is the original prototype and we're adding some stuff to this. But,
okay.
And you hear that?
Yeah.
So it's waterproof.
Oh wow!
So that's one thing that we're doing.
It's a great idea.
It'll be waterproof, but I'm putting in a couple of features that we haven't really announced yet.
You can turn your camera off now.
Oh, thanks. You don't want to look at me. Oh wait, you have to see these. Well, we have these. We're doing the same thing on these. This is a prototype bag.
Interesting.
So it's basically the same bags, but different. It's waterproofed material.
Okay.
So a lot of the guys that do a lot of films. And we just haven't had time to really work on this. They complain that the cotton bags, which are designed that way on purpose, so they're soft,
right?
Have too many fibers, and so the fibers can get in the film. And so what we're doing is we're prototyping some different fabric options so that we would have one specifically made. It would basically be the detailer's helper, but it would be made in a waterproof material, so there's no fibers.
Interesting. That's a great idea.
It's not soft like the detailer's helper, so there's a trade-off there.
Right, but it serves a different purpose.
It serves a different purpose, and we may be able to use that technology in some other industries too, like window cleaners and that kind of stuff that didn't like the cotton because they get wet. So we're prototyping some of that. I do have my new polisher loops that are in and almost out. We tested them a little bit, and we're making sure that they fit both, like flex size, Rupus size, Festool, all that kind of stuff. So that's basically a version of our polisher bag, but it's just a loop that you can sit on your hip.
Got it. That's exciting.
Yeah, so we've got new products. I mean, I have been working, but
I've been just slacking the whole
not
time.
as much as I should. And those processes take a lot of time and money and all that to prototype different stuff. But
right. So when are the aprons done then?
No, they're not. They had neglected one of the special features that I wanted, and so I should have new samples pretty soon. And then I'm going to send them out. I'm sending out a couple of these bags to some different guys to test the film properties, whether or not that would work. And if they report back good news, then we'll proceed with that. With the aprons, I'm hoping that we can get the new samples in the next few weeks. And then if those work, then I'll get a couple of my people to test. And if you're interested in this, even if you have cursory interest in this ambassador type program, let me know. This is for your listeners. Let me know,
not for me. I'm not.
Well,
you don't want me.
You can test whatever you want, man. I don't care.
So, Jimbo. By the way, this is not for you.
Yeah, you're definitely eligible. But
I like that apron idea. I really do like that apron.
well, there's a ton of aprons out there. I mean, obviously, we're not reinventing the wheel,
Sure.
but we want to do stuff that actually serves a purpose. Like, I don't like to just make the same thing that's already out there. I did a little bit of a test post to ask people what they would like in an apron and if they would be willing to pay, X number of dollars for them. And people were pretty positive about it, assuming that it's not just your, basic micro fleece apron that everybody else has for $10. I mean, it's not going to be a $10 apron for
Right.
sure.
Right. But think about how many, I mean, from a business standpoint, think about how many different industries or different niches just an apron might help you to get into, and
Right.
then maybe the belt can be a secondary add-on item once they like the apron.
Right. Yeah. And we're designing it obviously around the belt. So
Right.
you put the apron on, you put the belt on, and they work, hand in hand. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. We've had a ton of different prototypes that we put out, and they just didn't work. So
Right.
that's how we got to where we're at.
So if people want to become a part of the ambassador program or want to follow you, how do they do that?
Well, you can go to Instagram, Detailers Helper Official, which is
Official.
on Instagram. Facebook, obviously, we have Detailers Helper page. You can just message me through that, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can just PM me through that, or go to detailershelper.com and you can find contact information there too.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to add there?
No, I think so. It's fun. Thanks for continuing to have me on. I'm looking forward to. We're going to talk again, right, in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
In person.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Well, and SEMA too. But you're going to be down with Mr. Jason Rose, right?
Yeah, we're coming down in a couple of weeks.
What is that, the 14th or something?
Yeah, something like that. We're going to be over in Riverside, so we're going to make sure we come over and talk to you and
Nice.
and do a podcast with Mr. Jason Rose, and he was pretty excited. I talked to him about it yesterday. So
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't had Jason on in a long time, so I'm excited to have him on.
yeah,
12
I know.
12
I
times.
understand. That's okay. I don't mind.
Jason's been on a handful. Jason's probably been on. Jeez, we did a couple double episodes with him. He's probably been on 6 times.
Wow.
So
Well,
he's not that far behind.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, really, he's 3 times or more as good as me, so his number is more like 18. So that guy has more knowledge than
It's
most.
insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, he is he's the man for sure, and he's has the humility to go along with
he
it.
does. He's awesome. He's super awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, especially in person, because since he moved, I obviously haven't done any in-person stuff. I tried to at SEMA last year, and it was crazy.
Well, you were at SEMA for like 37 minutes.
Dude, I hate Vegas. I
too.
hate Vegas. And so, yeah, and to be totally frank and honest, and I know we're going off a tangent, but like, I was so disappointed last year at SEMA. There was straight up, there was nothing cool. Well, I shouldn't say that. There was nothing.
Innovative?
Yes. You compare it to the year before where Meguiar's had just come out with a machine. Maybe that was 2 years before that. But Meguiar's was launching a new machine. Then the Rupes hybrid was coming out, and there was
that came out. I was thinking that came out last year. That came out 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, and so there was really that sense of fear of missing out with SEMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's be honest. I mean, the detailing section of the SEMA show is like a blip on the radar, right? It's really little compared to the whole show. So if there's nothing that exciting going on, it makes the show really long. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, I know.
And you were there a week, freaking crazy guy.
Well, yeah, we'll be there a week this time too. Ugh. Well, Sugar High's in SEMA this year, so here's a shameless plug for that.
Let's do it. I'm all for the shameless plugs.
Sugar High the Jeep is going to be over in the North Hall, so if you want to get out of the South Hall and come visit us, Wayne Carini is going to be there both Wednesday and Thursday, signing autographs in our booth. We're in the Razor booth. We don't have an actual booth, but Sugar High is going to be there, so come check that out. Come visit us, and I'm going to be around the North Hall too at some point.
Are you going to be doing autographs too?
I did sign one autograph last year, but that was weird. So no, I'm not going to sign autographs.
I signed
I didn't even know that girl, and I don't know why she had her top off. Totally kidding.
We're still recording.
I know we are. I was totally kidding.
Did you get
First
a picture
of
of
all,
that?
My wife does not leave my side when we're at SEMA. So
I bet. Well,
no, that's not true. So.
You're very handsome. That's why she doesn't leave your side. She doesn't want you getting picked up by any other dude. I mean, women.
There you go. That's right. So yeah, shameless plug. Come visit. I don't know when you're going to release this, but Monday. So come visit us from 10:30 to 11:30 Wednesday and Thursday. Come see Wayne Carini. Come see the girls of Team Sugar High, and come see the Jeep. This Jeep turned out really well. We did a full custom.
You're incredible, by the way. That's
custom dash, so it's pretty cool.
Just incredible that you pulled that off. I mean, you don't give yourself enough credit because it's incredible.
No, I'm excited. It's one of a kind, and so it should garner a lot of attention, which would be kind of cool. And
that will be cool.
It'll be pretty cool. So, yeah, so that's that. And Michelle's actually there for the revealing of that pickup. That pickup's going to be in the BASF booth at 11:30 on Tuesday.
Awesome.
So that is a really cool truck. It's built by 90 women only worked on that vehicle. So
I could make a lady joke right now, but I think I'll save it.
All right, well, go say it. Wait and save it until you're near bogey, and then I'll sicker on you.
Cool. All right, I think we're starting to lose it at this point.
Yeah, we're good.
Any last plugs, or did you already do that?
No, I already plugged away. So
cool.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com for full show notes and links of everything that we've talked about today. And don't forget to check out our resources page for a direct link to all the products talked about not only on today's episode, but that I use in my day-to-day detail business. They have direct links so you can purchase and get free shipping right from that page. That's autodetailingpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.